Hi friends, welcome to my channel. So in this video, we are going to practice some mock exam related to AWS Cloud Practitioner Certificate. So without any delay, let's get started. So first I would like to tell you, this is the foundation certificate for which I will be sharing few questions as part of mock exam, which will help you to learn about cloud and then pass the exam easily, right? So after cloud practitioner certificate, you could go in any line like developer, architect, operations, and there are some specialty certificates as well. Please watch my first video in this playlist. Link is in the description, which will tell you more about how you can read and prepare without spending much money for the cloud practitioner certificate exam. Now, in this exam, this is a mock exam which is based on the real exam. So it would have 65 questions, passing marks are 70%, and time is 90 minutes. And syllabus is something here. It is divided in these topics. So without any delay, let's get started. I'm your friend and instructor. My name is Prem Asim Jain. I'm a cloud architect. So I will be solving these questions, but you have to solve it before you listen to my answer just by looking at it. That way you will also use your brain. Otherwise, just listening to me will add knowledge, but you have to try to answer it yourself before you listen to my answer. A company has, so question number one, a company has developed a media transcoding application in AWS. The application is designed to recover quickly from hardware failures. Which one of the following type of instance would be the most cost effective choice to use? So I would go with spot stances. So spot stances, they come like they go in 2 minute notice and they can go away anytime, but they are most cheapest or cost effective. As the media transcoding application, it can quickly recover. That is what they said for the hardware failures. So that is what, if it can recover, then we will buy another available spot instances and run it. And still I'll mark it for review so we can check it at the end of the exam. Our time is ticking here. We still have 1 hour 27 minutes to solve all questions. And I believe we would be able to solve it before time and we'll pass as well. Let's see. Which of the following AWS services scale automatically without your intervention? So AWS Lambda, as load would increase, request would increase, it would handle it. It will automatically scale up. And then second is S3. I believe this is S3. Actually, Elastic MapReduce also is serverless, so it can also increase uh, basically whenever there is more requests or load. So I would go with these two and I'll mark it also for review. We'll see at the end. How can AWS customers track and avoid overspending or underutilization utilized reserve instance? Customer can use the AWS budget service to track the reserve instance usage and set up an alert when their utilization dropped below the thresholds. Yes, this seems sensible. Customer can use Amazon Neptune to track and analyze their usage pattern, detect underutilized reserve instance. This is not good. Customer can use Amazon CloudTrail to automatically check for unused reservations and get recommendation to reduce their bill. Customer can add all AWS account to AWS Arc, enable consolidated billing and turn off reserve instance share. First is the correct. What is the definition of using an API to access AWS service? So benefit of using the API to access AWS services and improve the performance of AWS resource. Not true. because it would respond in the same way capacity no matter how you are using it, through the web console or through API or through SDK or through command line interface CLI. It allows for programmatic management of resources. Yes, this seems good. It reduces the time to need to provision. No, it reduces the number of developers necessary. Not really. Which AWS service creates a virtual network in AWS? A virtual network is VPN, which is called as Virtual Private Network. VPN. Just a moment. No, it's actually VPC. Wait, creates a virtual network in AWS. So VPN is a network between the on-premises and AWS, but inside VPC, the virtual network is VPC's Virtual Private Cloud. What is the most cost-effective purchasing option for running uh, a set of EC2 instances that must uh, always be available for a period of 2 months? So the time period is only 2 months. So you have to go with on demand, because spot instance might go quickly, which you don't want. And a reserve instance would come for at least 1 year or 3 years. As part of AWS Migration Acceleration Program, which is called as MAP, Migration Acceleration Program, what does AWS provide to accelerate enterprise adoption of AWS? As part of AWS migration, what does AWS provide to accelerate enterprise adoption? So AWS provides AWS partners, and AWS provide professional services. And there is Artifact also, where it provide the agreement and contracts which can be signed easily. So this could also be an answer. A company need to track resource change using the API call history, which AWS service will help the company to achieve this goal. That is CloudTrail. A company has discovered that multiple S3 buckets were deleted, but it is unclear who deleted the buckets. Which of the following can the company use to determine the identity that deleted the bucket? So you could get that by CloudTrail logs. It would have the user information, who used and when, like when he deleted the bucket, exact time, and exact user. What are the benefit of using Amazon Relational Database Service? Choose two. So if you are using relational database on premises versus using it on Amazon, so Amazon it provides resizable compute capacity, scales automatically to a larger or smaller instance type, supports the document and key value data structure, which is DynamoDB. This is not the right answer. Complete control over the underlying host. Yeah, this we can think of. Lower administrative burden. This we can think of. So administrative burden is lower, complete control over underlying host, scales automatically to larger or smaller instance type. I don't think that is true. Resizable compute capacity. I'm also not sure about that. We'll review it at the end. Why do many startup companies prefer AWS over traditional on-premises solution? Because they are startup, they don't have a lot of money to set up the data centers. So, and they are in experimental mode. They are startup, right? They are not established. So using AWS, they can reduce time to market by focusing on business activities rather than building and managing data centers. Very true. AWS removes the need to invest in operational expenditure. Not true, because AWS expenditure are operational expenditure. AWS allows them to pay later when their business succeed. No, that's not true. AWS can build complete data center faster. Using AWS allow company to replace larger capital expenses with low variable cost. That is true. Which of the following AWS services help with planning application migration to AWS cloud? That is called as service planning application migration. So DMS is data migration service, database migration service. I think there is something which is called as AWS Migration Hub. Let us check that if there is something like that. So Migration Hub. Okay, simplify and accelerate the migration to your data centers too. Okay, so we have that thing, which is good. What are the benefit of using DynamoDB? Automatically scales to meet the required throughput, true. Support both relational and non-relational, false. Provide resizable instance to match. It is instance free, serverless. So there is this is not valid. Support the most popular NoSQL database engines such as CouchDB, MongoDB. That service is called as Amazon Document DB, not the DynamoDB. Offers extreme low single-digit millisecond latency. That is absolutely true. Which design principle relates to performance efficiency in AWS? Which design principle relates to performance efficiency in AWS? Uh, Build multi-region architecture to better serve global customers. That is true. Performance efficiency, use serverless architecture, implement strong identity and access control, apply security to all layers, enable auditing. So when we are talking about performance, which means lower latency, so you have to have it in multiple region, and then serverless architecture would scale up and scale down. So that is also needed to bear any kind of load in the architecture. What AWS tools can be used to call AWS services from different programming languages? That is called as software development kit. So what it does is you have a AWS SDK. If you know Java, in the Java you can write code to a provision server, shut it down, or do anything. Or if you know Python or JavaScript, Node.js, whatever, you could download the AWS SDK specific to the language you know, and then from that language you can control your AWS infrastructure. Otherwise, you could go to command line just like here, and then you can control your AWS infrastructure as well using command line. And management console is like this here. This is when you go to service, you would type the name. These are compute services, storage, database. These are all different kind of services. So you go to EC2 service, for example. So this is mainly point and click, and then you would do the manual thing. Which of the following can be used to protect data at rest on Amazon S3? Data at rest means when you have stored the data. If someone reaches to your hard drive and if they are able to get the data, it would be problematic. So what you will do is you can do encryption. So two things is decryption and deduplication, permission, conversion, versioning. Versioning will give you the older record, just like GitHub. Uh, you have different versions, right? Version control system. Conversion, I am not sure. Conversion is you can convert the data. Permission, yes. If you have to protect data at rest, you should have appropriate permission. Deduplication means you remove the duplicate data. That is not good. You otherwise, if you lose data, it would be problem. So you have to replicate or duplicate the data. For managed services like Amazon DynamoDB, which of the below is AWS responsible for? For managed services like DynamoDB, AWS responsible for patching the software, operating system maintenance, and rest all is on you. Which statement best describes, and leave in the comment if I'm going faster. So next time I would work on your feedback because we are running against time and I want to cover all important answers and points. So I might skip some of the answers which are wrong answers just to save time, nothing else. But if you want, I can read all the answers. So let me know in comment. Which student best describes the concept of an AWS region? So AWS region is a geographical location with a collection of availability zone. That is true. And region is a geographical location with a collection of edge location. No. Represent the country where AWS infrastructure exists. No. A virtual network dedicated only to single customer. False. A company plans to migrate a large amount of archive data to AWS. The archive data must be maintained for a period of 5 years and must be retrievable within 30 minutes of a request. What is the most effective AWS service? I would go with, since you need it within 30 minutes. So S3 standard and S3 glacier. I think S3 glacier archive is one, and S3 standard is a little bit expensive, but you might need it within 30 minutes. So S3 glacier will give you within, I think 5 minutes. We can check that. So just write here S3 glacier. So let's go here, S3 glacier. And when you're preparing for the exam, it is good that you go and read this, so it will give you better concepts. So the extremely low cost storage that provides security, and how much time would it take to retrieve? Create vaults. A vault is a container to store archives so that it can be safe. Limits such as free tier only. The rate is also very less. Let's see what is in the getting started guide. Let me do print data retrieval policy. Let's see. So I am trying to search for time. Okay, 3 to 5 hour period it takes to retrieve data. So 3 to 5 hours is not good actually. So we would have to go with the standard solution. Or we can go with EFS and EBS, but these are expensive. So S3 standard would be cost effective among this. I'm marking for review so we can see it at the end. What is AWS Lambda? A fully managed non-relational database, a service that deploy containerized application, a service that provides object storage, a service that allow customer to run code without provisioning or managing servers. So if you are writing a web application, basically there is one function or an endpoint which would run some code, right? For example, retrieving the employee record or student record. So instead of deploying the entire web application, what you can do is you can just write that function as a AWS Lambda. I will show you. You can just go here and write Lambda. And this would create a small function. You just need to write the code directly and nothing else. And the code would run without a server. That is the serverless REST endpoint you can think of. What are the benefits? You would just create the function here. Let me show you. And then you can write the code in any of these languages: Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby. Usually I use Python 3.8. Sometimes I use Golang, sometimes Java. It depends. What are the difference? What are the benefit of implementing a tagging strategy for AWS resource? Quickly identify deleted resources and their metadata. Quickly identify software solution. Quickly identify track AWS spent across multiple resources. Quickly identify resource that belong to specific project. Track API call in your AWS account. So I would go with these two. Tagging is you have three EC2 instances for three different projects in your account. So you have to see how much spend is happening in which. So you will put a tag on any resource. Tagging is just naming or categorizing. It's just the Instagram tagging kind of thing. How do ELBs improve the reliability of your application? Elastic Load Balancer is ELB, improve the reliability. Reliability means your application is giving you the correct data functionality wise and durability wise. Like it's not the stolen data or old data. That is what is reliable, the data. And then application is up and running, like it is highly available. That is also what we call it as reliable, safe and secure. By ensuring that only healthy targets receive traffic. So ELB will do this, so there will be reliability by creating database. Stupid answer. By replicating data to multiple availability zone. By replicating data, yes, you can do that, but replication and ELB are not connected. By distributing traffic across multiple S3 buckets. That is also not the function of elastic load balancer. So load balancer would take up your request. For example, when you type google.com and then search something. So based on the request, it would respond, and then based on that, it would hit the healthy node. Otherwise, you would get page not found or those errors if it goes and hit like how would I say it rotates the request to the servers which will respond. And let's say the Google has 1,000 servers. So in those 1,000, if there are 10 servers which are down at some time, Elastic Load Balancer should not give any request to those servers which are not working, because then the customer would face issues. So it would always give the request for handling to the healthy servers. So that is what our first answer is. What is the framework created by AWS Professional Services that helps organizations design a roadmap to successful cloud adoption? That is called as CAF, which is Cloud AF framework. And what is A? I am not really sure, but this is some framework which is called as Cloud Adoption Framework. Yes, that is what I think they are asking. Cloud Adoption Framework. This framework tells you about how you would map your current resources in the cloud, and all those details. Uh, why would an organization decide to use AWS over an on premises data center? Why would an organization decide? Yeah, there are benefits because elastic resources, cost saving. App development companies move their business to AWS to reduce time to market and improve customer satisfaction. What are the AWS automation tools that help them deploy their application faster? Cloud Formation, Elastic Beanstalk. So they provide you infrastructure as a code, and by using that, this is an abstract layer. Like Elastic Beanstalk internally uses Cloud Formation. In Cloud Formation, you can give some instructions. For example, you have to deploy one API server, one database, one UI server. You have to link them, load balancer, VPC, and things like that. So the entire architecture in the domain specific languages, JSON or YAML, you can provide it, and then it would apply that and create the infrastructure. So you don't have to go physically point and click and then do the manual process, because that is error prone and also not faster. Uh, which of the following allows you to create new RDS instances? RDS is Relational Database Services. That is what is RDS. So AWS Management Console allows you to create RDS instances. That's true. Cloud Formation also allows you to do that. And DMS is Data Migration Service. It would expect the instance to be already created up and being up and running, but still we'll mark. What does AWS Service Catalog provide? It enables customer to explore the different catalogs of AWS services, as name suggests. It simplifies organizing and governing commonly developed IT services, which also makes sense. It allows provisioning of cloud infrastructure using code. It enables customer to quickly find description and use cases, not really. So it would be one of these two. It specifies organizing and governing commonly deployed IT services. It is not commonly deployed, different catalog item. And look, catalog and catalog, they matches, right? So this would be more appropriate answer. Both AWS and traditional IT distributors provide a wide range of virtual servers to meet their customer requirement. What is the name of these virtual servers in AWS? EC2 instance. Tamo Cloud Corp is looking forward to migrating their entire on-premises data center to AWS. What tool can they use to perform a cost-benefit analysis of moving to the AWS cloud? Tamo is looking forward to migrating entire on-premise data center. What tools would be cost-benefit to move to the cloud? It would be TCO, total cost of ownership calculator. Because what they want is they want to perform a cost benefit analysis of moving. So total cost TCO calculator. So I just want to add total cost of moving is something. I have a data center. So I will shut down. I have a space. I will sell out my old server. So I'll get some money. So there is no sink cost. I will at least get some money. The place which data center is occupying now, I will rent it out for a shop or for an office space. So that would give me some money. So that is the money which I'm already getting by shutting down the data center, because I'm using that. And then I'm paying AWS to run these services. So there will be expense, but those expenses minus whatever money I'll get from selling out or renting out my data center, that would be the effective cost. So that kind of calculation needs to be done. That is done in the TCO calculator, total cost of ownership. Which AWS service provides the current status of all AWS services in all AWS region? So service health dashboard, and personal health dashboard will give you only the detail of the um, whatever you would have. So let's say HE health dashboard. I'm not sure if there is something like uh, service health dashboard. Service catalog, service code, health checks. So I guess it would be personal health dashboard, AWS service health, right? So let's pick this and mark it for review. And we could always find it by doing the Google if there is something. Personal health dashboard. So we picked up service health dashboard. Okay, so I think status.aws service health dashboard. So what it is doing is they have different region. For example, in Europe. So in Europe, they have API gateway in Frankfurt and all these location. It is operating normally. So this dashboard would give you all the status of all the services. For example, if this service is down in this region and your customers are facing issue, so you can move it to some other region, or you would understand that it's not your code problem, it's something with the AWS, and then they can help you with that. Best ways, you can create your own personal health dashboard which are related to your services. So this is the correct answer. Remove the review. So we have 1 hour and we have to finish 35 questions. What are the benefits of using AWS managed service? Provide complete control over virtual infrastructure. False. Allow customer to deliver new solution faster. Right. Allow developers to control or patching related activity. Eliminate the need to encrypt data. Lower operational complexity. Which of the following is used to control network traffic in AWS? If you have to control the network traffic, you would go with network access control list, wherein you can mark the IP address which are allowed and which are denied. And same thing you can do with security groups with inbound and outbound inbound traffic, outbound traffic settings on particular ports and IP addresses. Actually, sorry, outbound is all allowed by default. So you can only control the inbound traffic to the EC2 resources inside the network. A company need to migrate their website from on-premise to AWS. Security is a major concern for them. So they need to host their website on hardware that is not shared with other AWS customer. Which of the following EC2 instance option meets this requirement? You can call it as dedicated instances. So basically the big machine has hypervisor in which AWS installs fives, tens, or 50s of virtual machines. But if you hire or buy dedicated instance, then in that particular hardware, only your instance would run. It would not be shared with other customers. A company has hundreds of VPCs in multiple AWS regions worldwide. What service does AWS offer to simplify the connection management among the VPC? VPC peering. A company has hundreds of virtual private cloud in multiple AWS region worldwide. What service does AWS offer to simplify the connection management? That is called as VPC peering. A customer is planning to move billions of images and videos to be stored on Amazon S3. The customer has approximately 1 exabyte of data to move. Which of the following AWS service is best choice to transfer? So I'm not sure how big is 1 exabyte of data, but it might come in Snowball or it might come in Snowmobile. So let us see exabyte of data. How big is that? Terabyte, petabyte, something like exabyte. Oh my God. So this is, let me see, 1000. This is 1000. Then 1000 of 1000 is million. 1000 of million is billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion. That is what is equal to that. So it is a huge data. It cannot be transferred over internet or in a pen drive. So what they need to do is they would get a snowmobile. It is a big truck with its own power supply, encryption, security guards, and everything. So they would feed this, upload this data in the truck. Truck would move and then it would connect to the AWS data center to do the transfers. A company is planning to migrate a database with high read write activity to AWS. What is the best storage option to use? So when read write activity is high and best storage option, I would go with, so they are planning to migrate a database which has high read write capacity. So Glacier is not a database. S3 is not a database, but they need high read write. They could use storage gateway service. That would help them to save their data in AWS. This is what I think. Let's see. What does AWS offer to secure your network? Customer controlled encryption in transit. So we are talking not about data, but securing your network. Instance reservation, AWS controlled network access, control list, optimized instance type, instance reservation, AWS controlled network access control list, and customer controlled encryption in transit. So between this and this should be the answer. I would still go with first. What is the AWS IAM feature that provides an additional layer of security on top of username and password authentication? It is MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. So you will get extra phone pin or passcode in your phone. Why does every AWS region contain multiple availability zone? Multiple availability zones allow for data replication and global reach. I'm not sure about global reach, but yes, it does replicate. Zones result in lower total cost compared to deploy to a single zone. Within a region, increase the storage capacity available. Multiple allow you to build resilient and high available architecture. Which AWS service is used to manage user permission? Whenever you hear any user permission, you would go with IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. A company is trying to analyze the cost applied to their AWS account recently. Which of the following provide the most granular data about their AWS cost and usage? Cost and usage report. What is AWS recommendation regarding access key? Save them within your application code, rotate them regularly, only share with trusted people, delete all. Rotate them regularly. Which AWS service provide cost optimization recommendation? Trusted advisor. What is the AWS service that provide 5 times the performance of a standard MySQL database? Aurora. A customer spend a lot of time configuring newly deployed Amazon EC2 instances. After the workload increases, the customer decide to provision another EC2 instance with an identical configuration. How can customer achieve this? So he can create an AMI from the old instance and launch a new instance from it. That is the simplest and most effective way. Or by creating a AWS config template from old instance and launching a new instance from it. So I'm not sure because if config template he might need to create, but what he wants to do is he wants to get the older and copy to newer. That is why this is the answer. Actually, I did this a lot of time. A developer needs to set up SSL security certificate from a client's e-commerce website in order to use HTTPS protocol. Which of the following AWS services can be used to deploy the required SSL server certificates? So they are asking two things. One is Route 53 and second would be identity and access management. Directory service data pipeline are not the option. ACM is what? I'm not sure. What is AWS ACM? We'll check. Oh, so ACM is certificate manager. So we will not pick this, but we will pick this. Is AWS certificate manager is AWS CM, ACM, AWS CM. They should not write AWS ACM. They should just write AC. Like the name was incorrect actually. That is why ACM. I used this service before. What it does is you see here the lock icon, right? So the HTTP and HTTPS, they are different protocols. To provide the security, you need to have the certificate. So AWS, if you are hosting the website with them, or if you want To get the certificate, you can get it from them. SSL TLS certificate on AWS makes it easy to provision, manage, deploy, renew your certificates. Which of the following statement describe the AWS cloud's agility? AWS allow you to pay upfront to reduce cost. Not really. AWS provides customizable hardware. AWS allow you to host your application in multiple regions. AWS allow to provision resource in minutes. So agility is flexibility. And if you could do something really quick, that is what agility is all about. So fourth answer. Which of the following is a benefit of running an application in multiple availability zone? Increase compute? No. Increase availability of your application. Reduce application response time between server and global user. Allow you to exceed AWS service limit. Increases the availability of your application. Okay, this would be the good answer. What is the minimum level of AWS support that provide 24/7 access to technical support engineers via phone and chat? Enterprise support. I guess so. Minimum level of AWS support. It could be business support as well. Data security is one of the top priority. How does AWS deal with the old storage device that have reached the end of their life? AWS sells the old hardware to other hosting provider, send the old devices for remanufacturing, destroyed the old device in accordance with the industry standard practice, store the old device in a secure place. Man, this is tough one. I think it destroys these devices because it might have some client data, but not really sure. Which of the following is not a characteristic of elastic cloud compute? EC2 offers scalable computing, eliminates the need to invest in hardware upfront, is considered a serverless web service. Launch as many as few virtual servers are needed. So EC2 is considered a serverless web service. This is not a characteristic. And EC2 can launch as many or as few virtual servers are needed. What is one benefit and one drawback of buying reserve EC2 instance? Reserve instance require at least 1 year commitment, pricing commitment. Reserve instance, one benefit and one drawback. So commitment, you can think of it as benefit or drawback. I don't know. I would consider drawback. Reserve instance provide a significant discount compared to on demand. This is a benefit. Can be shut down by AWS anytime. Not true. Reserve instances are best suited for periodic workloads. Not true. There is no additional charge for using dedicated instances. A company is planning to migrate an application from AWS EC to AWS Lambda to use a serverless architecture. Which of the following will be the responsibility of AWS after migration? So after migration, responsibility of AWS, operating system maintenance and capacity maintenance, because it is serverless. So it should scale up and down with the request load. Which of the following are use cases for S3? Hosting websites that required sustainable high CPU utilization, hosting static websites, processing data stream at any scale, a media store for CloudFront service. Yeah, that can be done. Cost effective. Cost effective database. So first one is true, and then a media store for cloud front service. Cost effective database and log storage. Cost effective database and log storage is a good thing. What is the AWS tool that can help a company visualize their AWS spend in the last few months? AWS Simple Monthly Calculator. What is the AWS tool that can help a company to visualize their AWS spending in the last few months? Cost Explorer could be one, or AWS Simple Monthly Calculator. I think this should be the one, but we can still check and let's see. I don't think there is something called as Simple Monthly Calculator. Oh yeah, it is here. Wow, they have so many nice tools in AWS. When running a workload in AWS, the customer is not responsible for data center operations, infrastructure security, auditing and regulatory compliance, reserving capacity, infrastructure security. What is the AWS compute service that executes code only when triggered by events? AWS Lambda. What are AWS shared control? Control that are solely the responsibility of customer based on the application they are deploying with AWS services. Controls that apply to both AWS infrastructure and customer layer. Control that customer and AWS collaborate together upon to secure the infrastructure. Control that a customer inherits from AWS. I think this. Which AWS service can be used to send promotional text messages to more than 200 countries worldwide? It is Simple Notification Service. AWS recommends some practices to help organize avoid unexpected charges on their billing. Which of the following is not one of these practices? Deleting unused elastic load balancer, releasing unused elastic IPs after terminating an EC2, deleting unused EBS volume after terminating an EBS instance, deleting unused auto scaling launch config. So if you delete this, you will not save any money. So this is not a best practice, because if you would delete it tomorrow, if you need this auto scaling launch config, you might have nothing in place. Which of the following are factors in determining the appropriate database technology to use for a specific workload? The number of reads and writes per second, and the nature of queries. Which of the following below are responsible for the customer when using Amazon EC2? Protecting sensitive data, installing and configuring third-party software, maintaining consistent hardware components, set up and operate patching of underlying hardware. Which of the following AWS services can help you perform security analysis and regulatory compliance auditing? Yeah, AWS config would do the version of their infrastructure config and details, and inspector would generate the security report. Which support plan includes AWS support uh, concierge service business? So I think it would be enterprise and business. This is the last question now. Which AWS service can be used to register a new domain? S3. And fingers are crossed. Tell me how much percent we will get. I am guessing 84. 70 is passing. First thing, at least we should pass. Second is somewhere in 80s. 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, I told you 80, right? So we got 81. So we passed the exam. Now we'll review what are the incorrect answers and the answers which we have marked for review. So this one we were correct. A company has developed this and they want quick recovery. This is correct. We marked it for review. Oh wow, this is correct. Which of the following service automatically without your intervention? S3 and Lambda. S3 and EFS are storage services that scale automatically in storage capacity without any intervention to meet increased demands. But EFS was not the option. EBS was the option. And Lambda dynamically scales up. Amazon EMR is incorrect. EMR doesn't scale on its own. We have to configure the AWS auto scaling feature to scale EMR. Okay. EC2 unit auto scaling. EBS is a block storage, which persistent storage. So that is not the option. Virtual network in AWS is VPC. Okay, this we will read. AWS professional services. So AWS has thousands of organizations, including enterprise such as GE and Coca-Cola, blah, 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 to free up resource by lowering cost. The AWS migration platform, which is called as MAP, is designed to help enterprise that are committed to a migration journey achieve a range of these business benefits by migrating existing workload to Amazon Web Services. MAP has been created to provide consulting support, training, and service credits to reduce the risk of migrating to the cloud, build a strong operational function, and help offset the initial cost of migration. It includes the migration, blah, blah, blah. There is a lot of explanation, but in general, what, yeah, partners, let's do this. Yeah, enterprise will be able to focus on business innovation, sacrifice this, do blah, blah, blah. What we are interested here, yes. AWS has a number of resources to support and sustain your migration effort, including experienced partner ecosystem to execute migration. AWS professional service team to provide best practices and perspective advice and a training program to help IT professional understand and carry out the migration successfully. Athena is an interactive query service that makes it easy to analyze data in Amazon S3 using standard SQL. Pinpoint is used to engage your customer by sending them targeted and transactional email, SMS, push notification, and voice messages. Artifact is a no cost self service portal for on demand access to AWS compliance reports. What are the benefits of using relational database? So we picked complete control over underlying host is incorrect. So we got resizable compute capacity and lower administrative burden. RDS makes it easy to set up, operate, and scale a relational database in cloud. It provides cost-effective and resizable compute and storage capacity while automating time-consuming and administrative tasks such as hardware provisioning, operating system maintenance, database setup, patching, and backups. It frees you to focus on your application so you can give them the fast performance, high availability, security, and compatibility they need. Complete control over underlying doesn't have the underlying host. For managed service like this, AWS is responsible for performing all operations needed to keep this service running. Amazon RDS provide with 6 widely used database engines to choose from, including this. The RDS database can scale instance automatically in Aurora. So they are talking about Aurora, and here they are talking about resizable compute capacity. So you can, but it is not automated. So that's where I missed. That is why it was a wrong answer. So they can auto scale the capacity or the storage, but not instant scaling, which means compute cannot be resized. So manual horizontal scaling by adding red replicas, and manual vertical scaling by upgrading, downgrading an existing instance. Hmm. Why do many startup companies prefer AWS? Oops. Which of the following AWS service help with planning application migration to AWS cloud? Application discovery service helps the system integrators quickly and reliably plan application migration, protects by automatically identifying application running in the on-premise data centers, their associated dependencies and their performance profile. Planning data center migration can involve thousands of workloads that are often deeply interdependent. Application discovery and dependency mapping are important early first steps in the migration process, but these tasks are difficult to perform at scale due to lack of automated tools. AWS Application Discovery Service automatically collects configuration and usage data from services. Oops. So what they say? Protect data at rest. And versioning? How come versioning? Security feature for protection of data at rest, which you can use or not depending on your threat profile. Permission: use bucket level or object level permission alongside IAM policy to protect resource from unauthorized access and to prevent information disclosure, data integrity compromise or deletion. Versioning supports object versioning. Versioning is disabled by default. Enabled versioning to store a new version for every modified or deleted object from which you can restore compromised object. Oh, hmm. That is why I explained you versioning correctly, but this could be one of the answer. If the data is modified, you can recover it. And replication, although stores geographically diverse availability zone by default, compliance requirement might dictate that you can store at even greater distances. Cross-region replication allow you to replicate data between distant AWS region to help satisfy these requirements. CRR, cross-region replication, enable automatic asynchronous copying of data across buckets in different AWS regions. Encryption server side, Amazon S3 supports server side encryption of user data. Server side encryption is transparent to the end user. AWS generate a unique encryption key, which is called asynchronous AES, is a asymmetric encryption. S is something. AES 256. Encryption client side. With client side encryption, you create and manage your own encryption key. Keys are created and not exported to AWS in clear text. Your application encrypt data before submitting to AWS S3 and decrypt data after receiving it from S3. Data is stored in encrypted form with keys and algorithm only known to you. That is good. Deduplication is the process of removing duplicate data and will not and do nothing to prevent data loss. Conversion is the process of transferring data from one format to another. Decryption is the process of transferring data, ciphertext into plain text. So whatever we have marked for review, most of them are wrong. Here they call glacier, but we figured out that it's not 30 minutes. It is between 6 hours. S3 Glacier is low cost, deliver this durability, and S3 Deep Archive, lowest cost, long term. S3 Glacier can retrieve data within a few minutes to several hours. Where is S3 Glacier Deep? Wait a minute. Within 30 minutes of a request, right? And their answer is S3 Glacier. And then they are saying that S3 Glacier you can retrieve data to several hours. So based on their description, this answer is wrong and our answer is right. Amazon EBS is incorrect because it is not cost-effective solution. It is a block level storage. S3 standard is cost-effective. It frequently access data with millisecond access. A dynamic website relies on server-side processing, and it uses server-side scripting such as PHP, JSP, and S3 does not support server-side scripting and cannot be used by host to host dynamic websites. AWS computing resource for hosting dynamic websites such as EC2 or Lambda. Now they're talking about tagging. Each tag is a simple label consisting of customer defined key and optional value. So you can search for and filter resource. Although there are no inherent type of tags, they enable customer to categorize resource by purpose, owner, environment, and other criteria. An effective tagging strategy will give you improved visibility and monitoring, help you create accurate chargeback, showback model, and get more granular and precise insights into usage and spent by applications and teams. The other options are incorrect. Track API call in your AWS account, quickly identify deleted resource and their metadata. You cannot use tag to find deleted resource. Also, once you delete a resource, all its metadata will be deleted with it. Quickly identify software solution on AWS. Okay, service catalog. Service catalog enables customer to explore different catalogs of AWS service. Service catalog allows organization to create and manage catalogs of IT services that are approved for use on AWS. These IT services can include everything from virtual machine images, servers, softwares, and databases to complete multi-tier application architecture. AWS Service Catalog allows you to centrally manage common deployed IT services and help you achieve consistent governance and meet your compliance requirement while enabling user to quickly deploy only the approved IT services they need. So seems like a company can uh, publish their multi-tier application as a service catalog which can be used by others. Now we are looking for our next wrong answer or next review question. Wow, here it goes. So a company has hundreds of VPC in multiple regions. Which service does AWS offer to simplify connection management along VPC? They called it as Transit Gateways and Network Transmit Hub that simplifies how customer interconnect all their VPCs. across thousands of AWS account and into their own on-premise network. Customer can easily and quickly connect to a single centrally managed gateway and rapidly growing the size of their network. Transit gateway act as a hub that controls how traffic is routed among all the connected network, which act like spokes. Oh, hub and spoke model. Now I got it. The hub and the spoke model significantly simplifies management and reduces operational cost because each network only has to connect to the transit gateway and not to every other network. Any new VPC is simply connected to the transit gateway and is then automatically available to every other network that is connected to the transit gateway. This ease of connectivity make it easy to scale network as business grows. I did this thing for Expedia, the hub and the spoke model. VPC pairing is a networking connection between two VPC. Enable customer to route traffic between them using private IPs. Instances in either VPC can communicate with each other if within the same network. Using VPC peering to connect hundreds of VPC is very complex and time consuming because customer need to peer each VPC network. It will become a mash actually. So hub and scope is good. AWS Transit Gateway, each VPC only has to connect to the transit gateway and not to every other VPC. It is like a star topology. So everything is connecting at the center in the hub. Customers simply connect each VPC to AWS Transit Gateway, and gateway will route traffic to uh, from each VPC. AWS Connect is a cloud-based contact center that makes it easy for business to deliver customer service at low cost. Direct Connect I heard, but I'm not sure what is Amazon Connect. Contact center service that makes it easier for business to deliver customer service at low cost. Migrate database with high read write capacity. What's the best option? So EBS and storage gateway. Okay, let's read. Database require high read write performance, and and as much Amazon EBS is the correct answer. Amazon EBS volume offers consistent and low latency performance compared to other storage option. You can use EBS volume as primary storage for data and require frequent updates, such as the system drive for an instance or storage for database application. Let's read this. This is regarding the SSL and HTTP connection. To enable HTTP, your website or application in AWS, you need SSL server certificate. You can use a secure certificate provided by AWS Certificate Manager, which is ACM, or one that you obtain from an external provider. You can use ACM or IAM to store and deploy server certificate. Use IAM as a certificate manager only when you must support HTTP's connection in a region that is not supported by ACM. I am support deploying server certificate in all region, but you must obtain your certificate from an external provider for use in AWS. Amazon Route 53 is used to register a domain name or use your own domain name to route to your end user to internet application. Route 53 is not responsible for creating SSL certificates. So data cost effective database and log storage. So database backup is stored, but I was confused here for this question. You can host static website. This we already read before. They might also contain server-side script to host static website. You configure AWS bucket for web hosting, allow public read access, and then upload your website content to bucket. By contrast, a dynamic, yeah, this we already read before. If you want to deliver a stream or video file to a global user, all you need to do is to put your content in an S3 bucket and create cloud formation distribution that points to the bucket. Your user's video player will use cloud form front URL. URLs to request the video file. The request will be directed to the best edge location based on user's location. The Amazon CloudFront Content Delivery Network CDN will serve the video from its cache, fetching it from S3 bucket if it has not already been cached. The CDN caches content at the edge location for consistent low latency, high throughput video delivery. And that is all. So we have covered all our questions. And guys, thanks for watching. And I hope you might have learned something here. So uh, yeah, we'll see you in the next mock exam. Bye. Take care.